Hey there, Wesley Smith, and in this video we're going to go over what makes your Google Map listing rank the highest, right? What are the 5 main factors that's going to allow your Google Map listing to show above your competitors? And there's several things that go along with it. It's kind of 5 spokes on the wheel, or maybe 4 main spokes on the wheel. So my goal for this video is just to kind of show you what it takes to get to that top part of the map section. So let's start off with number 1 here. So the first thing is you want to fill out your Google My Business listing thoroughly. Like, there's a lot of different categories: description, photos, photos of the team, address, all those things. You want to get those accurate, and you want to fill them out thoroughly so that Google looks at your map listing, your Google My Business listing, as an actual business, right? There's a lot of spam out there on the internet, and so Google wants to make sure yours is filled out thoroughly to make that determination pretty quick, right? So you want dozens of photos in your Google My Business listing. Let me show you what that looks like. So let's say we do a search for personal injury attorney, Tampa, Florida, and that could be anything. It could be any city. It could be roofing, Atlanta, Georgia, roofing, Tampa, Florida, plumbers, Tampa, Florida, whatever. It really is all the same as far as this goes, as far as filling out your listing thoroughly. So Catania & Catania is the #1 personal injury lawyer organically ranked here in Tampa, Florida. On this Google search, right? Here's their website, here's their map listing. So they're getting a lot of traffic because of that. But let's look at why their map listing is up at the top. So when you click on their listing, and the #1 thing that we're going over first is photos, right? You want to fill it out thoroughly. So their listing has dozens and dozens and dozens of photos of their firm, of the people in their firm, street view, logos, all these different photos and different descriptions and things filled out in their listing, right? So you want to make sure that you fill out the listing thoroughly. So when you're actually in your Google account, it could be a Gmail, it could be a map listing account, whatever that may be for your business, there's an area where you can click on the top right where the apps are, which is located right here, right? You can click on the Google Apps, and then you can go to My Business. And that's how you create your Google My Business map listing right there. But there's a lot of different categories where you need to fill everything out thoroughly, be 100%. Google will give you a percentage, like, are you 80% finished, 90% finished, 100% finished, and just make sure you fill it out all the way. Google likes to see a completely filled out listing. So let's go on to number 2. So that's number 1. Number 2 is name, address, phone number correct, your NAP, which stands for name, address, phone number. So when you're in your listing here, sometimes people have moved, sometimes people maybe put in the wrong address up front accidentally. You want to make sure your address is absolutely 100% accurate, because this Google address that you're going to put in this Google listing is literally the one written in stone, right? Everything else that you do, your Yelp listing, your Justia listing, your Avo listing, your FindLaw listing, all your other listings and directories are going to depend on the Google one being accurate, right? So Google looks at that. So when they look at ranking your map listing, they want to see that your address is the same and consistent across all of these other directories. So it's kind of an easy one, but it's definitely worth mentioning. You want to make sure that's accurate. I see it all the time where it's just not accurate, where the customer has moved and they've never bothered to change the map listing, right? You got to make sure you change that Google My Business listing. The next thing is hundreds of directory listings of your name, address, phone number, which kind of correlates with number 2. When you have your main address and your listing and your phone number all in your Google listing right here, you want to make sure that that's consistent across all these hundreds of directories on the internet. So, part of local SEO is making sure that your name, address, and phone number, your NAP, is cited accurately across all these different directories: Yelp, HotFrog, Manta, FindLaw, Super Lawyers, Avo, your business directories, all the lawyer directories, everything. It all needs to be consistently accurate across all these directories with your name, address, and phone number. So if any one little thing's off, it can make a big impact on that. Like if you have abbreviations, but your business name's not actually abbreviated. So however it shows right here in the Google map, that's Catania & Catania or Hancock Injury Attorneys, it needs to read that way in all the other directories. Because again, the Google listing is the one that's kind of the baseline metric, right? That's the one that needs to be accurate, and then all the rest of them need to be exactly the same in all the other listings, right? So that's number 3. Number 4, what's happened is in the last couple of years is the organic ranking of your website also determines where your map listing is going to be. So to illustrate that, check this out. So we did the search for personal injury attorney, Tampa, Florida. And we showed you that Catania & Catania was #1 for personal injury lawyer Tampa, Florida. Well, guess what? Their website's also #1. So Google is now starting to use the organic ranking as a factor. It's been that way for a while, a few years now. But if your website's ranked high on the first page and your map listing is optimized and you get the photos and you get the name, address, and phone number accurate and all those things and description and everything filled out accurately, everything else is equal, they're going to show yours over your competition because your main website is high on that first page, right? They kind of go hand in hand these days. Let's look at the #2, Hancock Injury Attorneys. To illustrate that further, look, here they are right here on the first page, Hancock Injury Attorneys. So they're showing the map listings of the highest organic ranked websites on the first page as well, right? And every now and then one will slip in there that's actually not on the first page. For example, Culpeper Curlin is not on page 1, but they must have a few other things that are done correctly to where that's going to show up on the first page. So when you go here, let's go to the next page. They're actually right. Just saw them earlier. Well, they're on the second page that I saw earlier. So most of the time, if your website's ranked high on the first page, your map listing is going to also be ranked high. So it's really important to have SEO service being done, backlinking service being done. We actually provide that where your website will get on page 1 for your main keyword, therefore pushing your map listing to the top as well. And last but not least, Google is now starting to use Google 5-star reviews as a ranking factor too. Now, if you get lower reviews, that's okay. As long as you've got more 5-star reviews and 4-star reviews to bury those bad reviews. And make sure you kind of explain yourself on the bad review. So maybe there's a bad review. It's always important to go ahead and respond to that review through your Google My Business listing with your side of the story, right? The public will understand. If somebody has a problem with your service and you go in there and you respond in a professional manner, and on top of that, get dozens and dozens of 5-star reviews, which we have a Google review software management system that we can actually provide for our clients. So it automatically sends text messages and emails to your customers right after a service that you provide, asking them and soliciting them for a Google review, right? And if they don't leave a review immediately, it's going to follow up with them periodically so that they do end up leaving a review. But let's take a look at what that means. See right here in the top rankings, I mean, the top ranked listing has got 362 Google reviews. You can see right here, 362. The second one's got 40. So Google reviews are very, very important too. So the point of this video is just to tell you that if you want to get high rankings in the maps, there's several things that you need to do correctly in order to get there, right? And it's very, very important because this could have a huge impact on the amount of calls and inquiries and new clients that you sign being up here on the first page, high in the maps and high on the organic rankings. So to recap, #1 is make sure you fill out the listing thoroughly, right? Make sure you just completely fill out the listing thoroughly when you fill it out. If it's not done accurately or thoroughly yet, that's okay. You can go in there and you can finish it out. Secondly, make sure the name, address, and phone number is all cited accurately inside your Google listing. Third, you want to make sure you have hundreds of directory listings of your name, address, and phone number all over the internet in these directories that give Google that appearance that yours is the high authority one. That's what you need, is a lot of those directory listings, and we can provide that for you too. High organic ranking. So if your main website is high on the first page, a lot of times your map listing is going to follow. So that's a ranking factor. And then last but not least is dozens of 5-star Google reviews. Those reviews help the audience who's doing the search, your potential client, make the decision to call you over your competition. So this is Wesley Smith. I hope this map video on how to get your map listing at the top of the Google search helped. And if you have any questions, just shoot us an email. We'll go from there. Thanks a lot.